Paul Leadabrand. I'm 62 years old. I learned to fly when I was 16. Both my parents were pilots, mom and dad. So I grew up with an airplane in the family. And instead of going visiting the grandparents with a car road trip, we did it in an airplane. And I really didn't like it too much because I was stuck in the back seat. It was hot and bumpy. Couldn't see over my parents in the front seat. And I learned to fly at a young age, but I never really thought to do it as a career. I was flying hang gliders before I flew airplanes. I was flying, but I didn't have a license. But when I was 16, I got a license. I had some very good flight instructors in my career. So I learned from a female World War II aviator. She was a flight instructor in Texas teaching the men how to fight in an airplane so that they could go over and fight for our freedom. And so that's who taught me. So I was fortunate. And she had she knew what she was doing and she taught me well. So I'm hopefully paying it forward. One day she was teaching me. We were going round and round in an airport traffic pattern in Palo Alto, California, which is in the San Francisco Bay Area. And she said, pull the airplane over, and there happened to be a little park bench on the side of the runway. And she got out and said, "You're on your own." And she sat on the park bench, and I flew. And I remember that. So that was my first solo, and that's still a good memory. And they usually cut your shirt tail off. It's a tradition. They usually write on your shirt tail, first solo, date, location, flight instructor signature. And I still have that shirt tail. It's in a box somewhere, but I still have it. So at about age 30 or so, I went back to school, got all the things that I need to be a commercial pilot, and I have been a corporate pilot for most of my life. I retired a couple years ago. The companies that I've worked for, I usually have been an in-house flight instructor, and that's what I did most of my life. So I've always been a flight instructor. I was reading a magazine article about Kit Fox Aircraft and how they were building a 100% factory-built turnkey airplane. Before that was only kits. And a kit is not allowed to be amateur built and put in a flight school. But a turnkey airplane met the requirements of the FAA to use an airplane for hire in a school. And so I said, well, that's a neat idea. I know all about Kit Foxes. So I walked into the factory and people had backed out in their orders and they had one sitting on the factory floor, and I said, I'll take it. Less than 6 months later, I was in business with one airplane, teaching flying out of Boise, and it just grew. They liked what I was doing, promoting Kit Fox, and so they said, why don't we sort of become partners? I'm the factory endorsed flight school for Kit Fox Aircraft. They were built for the Idaho backcountry. So this flight school is a Kit Fox specific flight school. So we offer flight training only in Kitfox aircraft. And so to give you an idea, I do about 150 clients a year here from all over the world that have either been kit builders, buyers of a used one, or buyers of a brand new one when it comes out the factory door. And each airplane's doing about 80 hours a month. Each airplane with a client over that 4-day period is doing about 10 to 15 hours of flying and 40 to 60 takeoffs and landings. Back in the old days for training for emergencies, they would reach over and shut your engine off or pull the throttle back and see how you handled it. We don't do that anymore. The flight instructor is not going to let you go unless you're ready. And you kind of know yourself you're ready, otherwise you would be terrified. Back in that day, it was always a surprise. Today, we sort of tell them, if you progress and show consistency, you can maybe consider soloing on a day in the future here. So it's forewarned, and we're promoting them, and we guide them with the right books and the right web base. We have taught 75-year-olds to fly from scratch. If their motivation is there, they'll get a pilot's license. I asked for good lighting on my Kitfox aircrafts when I ordered them. The factory recommended AeroLED, so I said, please put those on my airplanes. They had options of LED strobes and LED landing lights and recognition lights. And I said I want it all. It's a see and avoid attitude. These little airplanes mix with the big ones, and we're in a training environment where often we're focused on the student, and we want to be able to be seen by other airplanes. The factory recommended the microsuns, so we put those in the wingtips on both sides. They also alternate sort of in a pulse light, or we call it wigwag. We actually have a switch that says wigwag. Then of course the strobes, and then the nav lights, because we train at night too. Our airport here does not have any lights on it, but there are times when we got a headwind and the sun went down a little early, and we end up having to land here in the dark with no lights on the runway. Well, the microsuns will light our path, no problem. It's for reliability and safety, you know, it's important. Quality and the reliability is why I have them. The factory recommended them. I have now used them for 13 years, and I appreciate their reliability. That's important with a flight school, because we have people coming from all over the world. We cannot afford downtime, and we're flying in the day and at night, and so the quality product, we have good reliability, and that's why I like them. I like to use the airplane as a tool to get somewhere. It's for the freedom. And so the airplane gives me freedom. Our main hobby is river rafting. And so we'll use the airplane to fly supplies into the river at various places to resupply the rafts, because a lot of times we're on the river for a week or two. There's 70 some airports within our wilderness area in the center of Idaho. So we have access to some really neat remote locations by air. There are no roads across the center of Idaho, either north, south, or east, west. So we have about 1,000 square miles, 100 by 100 block in the center of the state that's roadless, that is either national forest or designated wilderness. And the main access to those locations is by air. today there is still 2 U.S. mail routes to isolated communities and ranches within that wilderness area by air. Idaho is the only place in the lower 48 that actually has a airplane mail route. So that's cool. It's a job, but it's fun, yeah. We have to keep it lighthearted, educational, and fun, or what's the point?